Good morning. This is Steve Aspinall, one of the hosts of the Northern Entrepreneur Super Conference. This morning, Monday the 18th of October, we've got Allan Kleynhans here with me. Thanks very much for coming along, Allan.
Morning, Steve. How you doing, bud?
Yeah, great, thank you. This morning we're speaking to Allan about the entrepreneur. Allan is going to be the MC at the Northern Entrepreneur Super Conference on the 30th and 31st of October. A bit about Allan. I've known Allan for about 9 years now. Allan's a professional speaker and has been running his own coaching practice for around about 10 years. He's a great guy and truly inspirational to all of us. So, Allan, can you just tell us all about yourself and,
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for that introduction. I'm looking forward to the event, obviously. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to being the MC. And adding my little bit there, and meeting the other speakers, and obviously meeting a lot of the delegates. I think it's going to be quite a good event. I think obviously from what you've told me and what you've invested into it time-wise, and putting this whole thing together, and it sounds good. I've been speaking to Bobby Gill, who's also one of the other organisers, so it sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think anyone who comes down to the event, having a look at all the list of speakers you put together there, I think anyone who comes to the event is going to really be, empowered and inspired to go out and really take their own business and their own life to the next level. Myself, just to answer your question, I've been speaking professionally now for about 11 years and running my own coaching practice. Most of that has been done in South Africa. Worked with a lot of companies in South Africa. I grew up in South Africa, obviously, and after a pretty interesting upbringing in South Africa, I decided to leave South Africa in '89, came to live in London, and that's when my education really started. And I was already interested in personal development before I left South Africa. One of the first books I read was How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, which is still a classic to this day. And that inspired me to really study personal development. And then when I read Think and Grow Rich, that put me on the path to where I am today. And it's just been the last 22 years. It's just been constantly learning and educating myself around behavior, leadership, etc., and success conditioning. My initial interest in personal development came from the point of view where I thought I needed to be fixed, as I thought there was something wrong with me. I thought I was missing some stuff that other people had, and from at a very, very low self-esteem, etc., and also had some very interesting challenges in South Africa growing up there, and experienced some interesting things, in South Africa. South Africa was a different place than it is right now. And, people see South Africa, we've had a very, very successful World Cup recently. But when I grew up there and I was born in '66 and, the early '70s, is a completely different country. And when I spent 2 years in the army, I was conscripted into the army, and that was obviously compulsory. And I spent 2 interesting years, and 7 months of which were in Angola. And that kind of, really impacted me. And I was suffering with post-traumatic stress for a long time after that, had nightmares for about 7 years, had to do things that I wasn't very proud of, etc., and was sworn to secrecy thereafter for a long period of time, when I didn't speak about it for about 9 years because first of all, I wasn't allowed to, and I was told not to, and I had to sign some documents to say that I wouldn't talk about it. So I had to deal with that as a young man myself, and it kind of, I was blessed, in fact, to find personal development at that stage, because in 1988 it was when I read Think and Grow Rich that really made the big difference to me, because it kind of put me on the path and kind of made me start thinking, outside the box, and started thinking, well, maybe that wasn't, maybe I can use what happened to me at some stage, in my life, and understand it from a better perspective. And I came to London, started studying, and just put myself around the right kind of people. Read loads of books, went to lots of seminars, lots of workshops, and obviously after a while of continuously putting all this information into my own mind, and the right kind of information, after a while, it started to really impact me. And when I started to put this into practice, the key was putting it into practice, because I think a lot of people, they come across personal development, or they come across education or knowledge of some kind that's very, very empowering, and they get inspired by that knowledge, but they don't actually put it into practice. And I was the same. I was, thought I was into self-development, but I was actually into shelf development. And my shelf was getting bigger, but I wasn't growing, because I wasn't actually taking action on what I was learning. And the day came when I heard Jim Rohn say, you've got to do your own press-ups. And the late, great Jim Rohn was a fantastic mentor of mine. just an awesome guy. But when he said that, the penny really dropped for me, and I'd heard that before. You've got to do the work. And he just said, one day I was listening to him, he said, you've got to do your own press-ups. Nobody can do your press-ups for you. And the penny dropped for me, and I thought, I've got all this great information. I haven't been using it, and I've got, a mind full of knowledge. And I was kind of arrogant, actually, in a way, because I felt like I was, trying to make up for something that I thought I didn't have. And I could arrogantly coach you and arrogantly point out where your life wasn't working, but mine wasn't working either, because I wasn't actually taking action on the knowledge. And when I started to put the knowledge into action on a daily basis, my life shifted very, very quickly. And I went from being broke, jobless, homeless. I was actually homeless at that stage too. Suicidal, emotionally broke, financially broke in every sense of the word. And I turned my life around in a very short space of time over the period of a year. And just the phenomenal results I started to produce in my life. And then I decided to take this information back to South Africa and be part of the transition in South Africa. And I went back in 2001 and started a very successful coaching business out there and speaking business. And it was great. We had some great results out there, just phenomenal. Did a lot of work with some of the top sports stars out there and some of the top businesses in South Africa. Coached a lot of the top business owners and entrepreneurs out there, etc. And then 2 years ago, decided to come back to London and be part of what's happening in Europe. I just think there's great opportunities now in Europe and in London, and it's great to be here again. And having a lot of fun with it. And obviously now I'm very pleased about what's coming up at the end of this month. It's going to be good to be part of that. So hopefully that's a little introduction to my background and gives people a flavour of where I'm coming from.
Yeah, very, very interesting, Alan. Sounds like you've been through quite a lot in your lifetime. So
I've had some fun.
So a couple of questions about the people that need to come along to the event. In your experience as as an entrepreneur, what kind of qualities do you think people need to maintain as a successful entrepreneur? I.e., what kind of energy levels they need to sustain, the neural linguistics programming, etc. How do you think people need to sort of maintain that?
Well, the good news is that anybody can be an entrepreneur, and entrepreneurship is awesome because anybody can become one, and you can start with very little and become very successful very quickly, providing you have the right characteristics and the right strategies in place and the right steps are followed. To answer that question, I think you spoke about energy. You need to have a very, very high energy level, and I think that's in my personal opinion, I think that's one thing that really lets people down in their pursuit of success, is that they don't engage the right kind of energy. They don't generate the right kind of energy. You've got to have really, really high energy levels. And if you look at anybody who's been very successful, they have got very high energy levels. You've got to be determined, obviously. You've got to be willing to pay the price. You've got to set your goals, and once you've set your goals, you've got to go after them with relentless passion. And as I said about paying the price, again, that's another thing that, when you look at people who start out anything in life, most people don't actually follow through. Most people don't continue their pursuit. They'll try things for a while and it doesn't work out and they'll drop off. And while I said earlier that the good news is anybody can become an entrepreneur, and that's true, most people don't finish what they start. So that's why you only hear about, one Alan Sugar or one Richard Branson or one Nelson Mandela or one Oprah Winfrey, because everybody's got the same ability. Everybody's got the same opportunities. And right now, we're living in a world right now where we are drowning in opportunity. There is so much opportunity out there right now. And here's the thing, most people will start something but won't finish it. So it comes down to paying the price, having high energy levels, being focused on what you want to achieve, and just relentlessly going after it and paying the price. And when I say paying the price, I mean staying the race, finishing the race, just doing whatever it takes on a daily basis to make it happen. And to keep changing your approach in pursuit of your goals. Because sometimes one approach doesn't work, so you've got to step back, learn from that, and say, right, how can I better apply myself in other areas? How can I learn from this, and how can I, what do I need to change in order to achieve the result I'm after? And then just to relentlessly go after it again, and never, ever, ever, ever give up. And I think, that's the great thing about, when you meet entrepreneurs who have really achieved success in particular areas of their life, different industries and that, they're very inspiring because if you've, and I'm sure, Steve, you've met a whole lot of a bunch of successful people in your time, and as I have, and what's inspiring about these people is that if somebody's successful, it's taken a journey to get there. There's no success is easy. I don't believe it's easy. I don't believe in quick fixes or get rich quick schemes. I believe that everybody wants to get rich quick. You wouldn't want to get rich slow, but there's no quick fix to anything. If you want to create something, it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of effort. But the good news is that it's not really effort. If you're really enjoying it, if you're passionate about it, if you've got a lot of energy, and you're really doing what you love, then it doesn't really come down to effort. Not in my opinion, anyway. And then really it's just a case of paying the price, and then eventually when you get to where you're going, you can look back and you can say, wow, you know what? It's been worth the journey.
Cool. Yeah, as you mentioned, Allan, we have got some star speakers coming along to the Northern Entrepreneur Super Conference this month. Just to go through the list, we've got Simon Zucci, Clarke Carlisle, Glenn Armstrong, Daniel Wagner, Phil Martin, Michael Bradford, Zoe Kearns, Clive Arneal, yourself, and Richard Shepherd, all speaking about different, avenues of making money. So, what do you feel that these guys will do to help people that want to become a successful entrepreneur, and what path they need to take to get to where the goal is, i.e. become financially independent?
Well, obviously each of those guys on the list, and I've heard a lot of those names before. I know one of those people very well, but I know of some of the other ones, and a lot of those guys come highly respected. And when I say guys, obviously I'm including the females on that list. But each one of those people has done what it takes to be successful in their particular area of life and their particular expertise is very, very definite. So I think they've all got something, of immense, value to offer the delegates who are coming to the event. And each one of them, I'm sure, is going to, paint the picture of what it took for them to be successful. When I talk, one of the guys that I know there who's coming to the event is Clive, and Clive Arneal is very, very experienced when it comes to forex trading and currencies trading, and he's got a great background, and I'm sure each and every one of those people has got their own story to tell about what it took to get to where they go, where they've eventually got to. I know someone like Glenn Armstrong. I don't know him personally, but I've heard a lot about Glenn, and I know a lot of people who know Glenn personally, and I'm looking forward to hearing a lot of those speakers myself, because I know that, from my own personal perspective, I love to learn, and I love to, keep adding to my experience. And the best way to add to your experience is to learn from people who have already achieved what you want to achieve. The good thing about this kind of event is when you have a number of different speakers, one of the greatest advantages to going to a multi-speaker event is that you're going to get lots of different perspectives of how to get to where you want to go. And, that can open the doors of somebody's mind, and that can obviously inspire new ideas. And there's nothing that you can't do with a great idea if you've got passion behind it. So it's going to be a great event. And I think every single one of those people there has obviously, something of value to add, and it's going to make a big difference to the whole event,
Yeah, okay. Thanks very much for that one. So just to clarify, the event is on Saturday the 30th and Sunday the 31st of October this year, 2010. To register a seat, go to www.northernentrepreneursuperconference.com. Thank you very much, Allan.
Thanks, Steve. Looking forward to it. Cheers, bud. Have a good day.
Take care. Bye.